Good evening, everyone, and welcome to, I guess, what you could call a special Gundam news episode. And unfortunately, today isn't necessarily going to be good news, although it might also not be as bad as some of you might think. So, it's going to be about two pieces of news that I missed today. First of all, Bandai trying to stop shipments of Gunpla from Japan to abroad, and Bandai trying to create the Gundam Metaverse. So, over the course of last week, people have noticed that two of the biggest Japanese e-retailers have pulled Gunpla from their English versions of their website. These two being AmiAmi and Hobby Search, or as their website is known, 1999. An email has also surfaced from Hobby Search where they say that Bandai has requested them to stop selling their model kits to foreign buyers. And well, that is essentially the TLDR of the situation. But of course, there is more to the story, which has then led to reactions that vary extremely widely, going from the expected outrage to people downplaying the situation and saying that it'll all even out in the end. So first of all, here's the good news. If you live in an area that already had a steady supply of Gunpla from official vendors, you should be good. Bandai is specifically stopping Japanese stores from selling their Gunpla to foreign customers. So far, there are no reports of Bandai stopping supply to foreign stores with Gunpla meant for the foreign market. So if there are shortages of Gunpla in your area with official Gunpla dealers, those shortages are due to other reasons. And talking about shortages, I can also see where Bandai is coming from with trying to protect their domestic market. Japan has traditionally been very conservative and protectionistic, if that is a word. So with that mindset, every Gunpla that a Japanese retailer sells to a foreigner, that is one less Gunpla in the hands of a Japanese fan. And while that is an understandable stance, I would also argue that that kind of reasoning does fly straight into the face of their former commitment where they wanted to promote Gundam and Gunpla worldwide. Like, you can't have your cake and also eat it. The main reason given, though, is fighting against scalpers, which is a fine reason from a moralistic point of view, but in practice, I don't really see how preventing Japanese stores from selling to countries without an official Gunpla distribution system going on is going to help stop scalping. If anything, I can only see this making the scalping worse. Hey, Bandai! So now, let's talk about the other negatives. First of all, not everyone lives in a country with ample Gunpla supply. There's a reason that I've been a loyal customer of Hobbyling Japan for many years and probably will continue to be so. And even if you have a steady supply of Gunpla, there is one more thing to be worried about. This does not just involve Gundam plastic models, but all of Bandai's plastic model kits. So, what if Bandai decides to release or re-release a model kit of a mech from your favorite but extremely obscure anime? Is your local supplier going to get stock, or are you just gonna have to suck it up and get it as if it were a premium Bandai kit? However, not all is lost either. Going back to the email from Hobby Search, they say that Bandai requested them to do so. And just because someone requests you to do something doesn't mean you have to go along with that request. Like, I can go outside, ask anyone, or request anyone to give me $1 million, but I don't think a lot of people are going to comply with that request. And it seems that that is exactly what Hobbyling Japan did. they posted on Twitter that they fully well intend to keep selling Gunpla, and so far, every Bandai model kit that I've checked out is still available on their website. And apparently, they even have a good track record of doing so because Tamiya tried to do a similar thing in the past. And Hobbling Japan also politely declined that request as well. The only thing then that you might remember were the Bandai Star Wars model kits, but that was actually a completely different debacle where Bandai somehow only got the distribution rights to make model kits from Star Wars in Japan. So the reason they couldn't continue selling those to customers outside of Japan was literally a legal problem. And then this is also the reason why I didn't notice this problem until a couple of days later, because I get most of my Gunpla from Hobbling Japan, both as sponsored content and also just for my own use. So to summarize, with things as they are now, I don't see this becoming a giant Gunpla apocalypse. A combination of the ongoing crisis and Gunpla shortage probably just caused Bandai to have a knee-jerk reaction that at first glance sounded worse than it really was going to be. That being said, if you relied on websites like Hobby Search or AmiAmi for your Gunpla or other Bandai model kits, then this will definitely have a major impact on you, and for your sake, I definitely hope that Bandai is going to reverse that policy really soon. In the meantime, you're just gonna have to rely on other websites like Hobbling Japan to hold the Gunpla fort. And then the other thing that Bandai has been up to is creating the Gundam Metaverse. And they even announced that they'll be spending 15 billion yen, around 130 million US, to make it happen. And so far, everything they've got to show for it is 1. This teaser image showing us 3 Xbox Live avatars staring at an empty plaza that is surrounded by the wide base, some mobile suits, and a generic town. Basically what I would imagine any out-of-touch CEO's image of the metaverse to be. And then 2, vague ideas of how they're going to implement this metaverse and what they plan to do with it. And of course their ideas are vague. I don't know what the metaverse is. You don't know what the metaverse is. He doesn't know what the metaverse is. And most of all, the companies claiming to make the metaverse don't know what the hell the metaverse is. And if you want to watch a really good video that explains what the metaverse is, and most importantly, isn't, I'll have a very good video made by Josh Strife Hayes linked down below because he hits it out of the park. Honestly, whenever I heard companies talking about their promises for the metaverse, I felt like I was going crazy because I constantly thought like, don't we already have that? And yes, a lot of things that the metaverse promises us are things we already have, but in a more convenient way. And the same unfortunately goes for the Gundam Metaverse promises. They'll be hosting Gundam-themed concerts, they'll be hosting online games, and they'll be using it to sell Gunpla. So, where does the metaverse come into play here? Or are they actually expecting me to log into a Second Life ripoff with a VR headset so I can watch a glorified live stream, play online video games while I'm already in a video game, and go ahead and buy Gunpla? Like, why would I want to do those things in a more inconvenient way when I can just go on my computer or go on my smartphone and do those things already? Another thing they tout then is connecting the Gundam Metaverse with real-world arcades and hobby stores. which to me just sounds like a fancy term for what they're already kinda doing, like how they had those QR codes on the Batlog Gunpla boxes to direct you to YouTube to watch the first episode of the anime. That is a cool use of technology that is both realistic and convenient. At the moment of recording then, creating the metaverse is just kinda sounding like a new .com bubble or something. Companies are investing a lot of money into it, but so far there seems to be very little payoff. And worse yet, reports are out that interest in both the metaverse and NFTs, which is another can of worms entirely, is rapidly declining. And honestly, I think this is because everyone is beginning to realize that the metaverse is just a bunch of empty promises. Or worse yet, that it exists solely for companies trying to produce it for themselves rather than for the consumers. And you can even read this in the outline of the Gundam universe. Yes, Bandai does state that they want to create the metaverse to connect deeply to the fans, which does sound cute and cozy, but the other statement is much more real. And I'm quoting from the Nikkei Asia's article here. The 15 billion yen metaverse investment will also cover the creation of a database to consolidate Bandai Namco's group-wide customer data. They don't want the metaverse to connect to fans, they want the metaverse to connect to fans' wallets. Which is also something Josh Strife Hayes points out perfectly in his video. Again, go watch it. I highly recommend it. However, I will make you one promise in the future. If Bandai is actually able to pull it off and turns it into a positive thing, both for them and for the consumers, I will cover it in my Gundam News segment, and I will happily tell you that I was wrong and that it all turned out for the best. But I still think that it's much more likely that it's either going to crash and burn, or that it's going to turn into something that we already kind of had, but with a Gundam coat of paint and marketed as a metaverse without actually being a metaverse. Whatever that might be anyways. But anyways, that has been my take on these two topics that I guess could be kind of controversial, I don't know, but let me know what you think about them down below. Are you excited about the prospect of a Gundam Metaverse that could then be joined by other important Bandai IPs down the line? And how badly do you think you'll be affected by Bandai's request? So a shout out to Hobbling Japan for continuing to sell Gunpla, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters, I hope everyone watching has a great evening, and I'll see you all next time.